Massive protests are erupting in Minneapolis after Trump's most recent fascist crackdown. The DOJ has arrested 15 people who are so-called ANTIFA, which is the administration's favorite self-report, because like most of these fake conspiracy charges, the truth is there's nothing illegal about calling out fascism, even if the MAGA Gestapo thinks their fear tactics like this are gonna make us scared.
Is your dog okay?
Not my dog.
Not your dog. Okay.
What's your name?
My name's Isaac Sant.
Isaac Sant.
First name's I-S-A-A-C, last name S-A-N-T.
Thank you.
My lawyer is Kevin Rich. I very much like you could call him.
We'll do it.
Rich is spelled R-I-C-H.
612-444-2654.
Cool.
Nazis.
Shame on you.
Nazis. Fucking Nazis. Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
I don't think it's a mistake that they're calling this Operation Vanguard. This is their first real crackdown when there was no underlying crime, and they want to see this repeated across the country. This so-called conspiracy is so weak, and while they've tried something similar before, you can see from the look on this stooge's face that he has no confidence that this is going to work.
Direct Action Minnesota is an organization dedicated to direct action against federal law and immigration enforcement. This action is not peaceful, it's obstructive, disruptive, and unlawful. The organization trains its members in the aggressive use of shields against law enforcement, surveillance, operational planning, and rapid mobilization against law enforcement actions.
Like, how is DOJ, how do you define Antifa? Like, what is Antifa?
So what is Antifa goes beyond, I think, the scope of what this indictment is. But what we can tell you is that we have plenty of people that self-identify in that way, and you might want to ask them that question.
Is that a crime? How can the courts be assured, how can juries be assured that what's in this indictment and these affidavits is true and is based on facts?
You watch how this case plays out. You watch how the evidence plays out. And the evidence will prove it all out.
Some of the charges in this indictment might go through, like some specific assault claims from specific people, but most of this document is trying to detail actions that fall squarely in the realm of the First Amendment. And even worse, when you read these charges, it's clear that they're just making stuff up. They claim these 15 people were members of Direct Action Minnesota, and Direct Action refers to disruptive and obstructive tactics used by participants to forcefully challenge, block, or stop immigration raids, detentions, and deportations. That is definitely not what direct action means. A simple Google search will show that direct action is not another word for clearly illegal activity. Almost all of the claims about coordination, conspiracy, and premeditation stem from this purposefully wrong definition of direct action. Like text messages between people trying to meet up is suddenly evidence towards conspiracy to commit direct action. They're being as broad as possible so they can finally apply the procedures that they don't want you to hear about. Namely, NSPM 7, which was first reported on by Ken Klippenstein, and it's a directive from Trump aimed at criminalizing being a leftist. This Hitlerian memo instructs the DOJ and other agencies to identify these markers as indicators of domestic terrorism. Does anything on this list seem like it would apply to you, me, and every subscriber who considers themselves a red-blooded American socialist? They want us to be afraid in order to make it easier to flatten our rights and then round us all up. Andrew Mercado, an on-the-ground reporter, put it really well as somebody who's also in the crosshairs. What I do know is this: observing government activity isn't a crime. Recording public officials isn't a crime. Attending a protest isn't a crime. Journalism isn't a crime. Know your rights. And folks immediately started gathering at the courthouse to protest this insane acceleration into fascism. And of course, the cowards in uniform answered the people with even more violence. You'll see it didn't take long for them to turn a peaceful protest into another chaotic shit show.
I'm with the press.
Luckily, there were lawyers in the crowd because they will be needed, not only for whoever was brutally assaulted by the police here, I mean they had to call an ambulance for the woman who got the full blast of it, but also the defendants, who may be in a much better position than you'd think after seeing the arrest. The saving grace of the American fascists is that they're very stupid, a consequence of the anti-intellectualism that's at the core of MAGA. So most of the cases that they're bringing in front of a judge are getting thrown out, dismissed, or plead down to basically nothing. Spam Blondie only ever got one successful case, and not because they were able to prove a conspiracy. By the sound of it, they couldn't even prove that Antifa existed.
Yes. So what we heard from the federal government since July 4th, 2025, is descriptions that are similar to what we're hearing in Minneapolis, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in Portland, and now in Vermont. That people who are standing up for immigrants are terrorists, are Antifa, are masked villains, are wearing black to be disguised and never been found. During the trial, we heard repeatedly the reference to something they call the North Texas Antifa cell. The Department of Justice still says this is a thing. But then we heard from cooperating defendants explaining that no such thing exists, that they didn't even know that they were a part of Antifa to begin with, as the government alleges. So this case, although it is the federal government's first successful Antifa trial, it actually didn't even need Antifa to have any convictions. The convictions, riot, material support for terrorism, attempted murder, use of explosives, don't even need an organization, or that there is even a terrorist organization. The Antifa of it all, from my perspective, was purely political.
We're not going to stop protesting because we know that ICE is full of murderers and assaulters. They'll kidnap you, ship you across the country, and then apparently just release you into the wilderness to die. That's why the anti-fascist movement will only grow the harder that they try to stop it. Subscribe to U.S. Democratic Socialists. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.